All right. Hey, everybody. What happens when Black people stop shrinking? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. When do we stop smiling to make other people feel comfortable and start standing in our power? From Coco Gauff to Shedeur Sanders, Jasmine Crockett to everyday Black professionals that are out there. We're seeing a new generation refusing to dim their light, but what are we finding? But what we're finding is there's a cost, and there's a pattern to that.
And that cost is too high. So when we show up in our authentic American pushes back.
Yeah, they do. So Mona, you know what? I'm going to just say this at the top. I think you're pretty authentic. Certainly way more than I am.
Thank you.
So I don't say, for example, what's on my mind, but while you don't say everything, and I know this, you say what needs to be said, and people are left not really trying to figure out, well, what does she mean? Sometimes I think I should do more of that, but I think maybe my authentic self is not to, but sometimes there are things that I should say. So I want to explore that tonight. So everybody stay tuned, because we're breaking down why Black authenticity still makes white America uncomfortable, and what that means for us in all, for us all in this new era of a threatened democracy. So I am going to do the countdown. The assets wasn't on the page. Let's go ahead and connect, make sure everything's connected.
I'm waiting on you.
To do what?
Not showing up on my page just yet, but it should.
Oh, I didn't watch that countdown the way that I normally do.
To
And
the Black Independent, where we speak truth to power, unapologetically.
For too long, the Black vote has been treated like a given, but we're not property. We're not pawns. We are the descendants of those who built this nation. And now, we're demanding tangibles, not tokenism, because the era of blind loyalty is over. This is the Black Independent. Let's get to work.
all right, so welcome back, everybody, to the Black Independent. I am Jeanette Bradley, and I'm joined by my very authentic co-host, Mona Judge. And today we're unpacking the fear of Black authenticity, and why every time Black people rise with confidence and competence, white America reacts with resistance. Before we get started, hit that like button and subscribe. It helps us grow the Black Independent community on Facebook and on YouTube. Also, be sure to take a moment to share with your friends.
Yes.
Are you good, Mona?
Yeah, I wasn't hearing you.
Can you hear? Well, you can hear me now. So I just finished the intro, and so we've had to learn this ever since slavery, if you think about it, you guys. So we had to learn how to smile, how to nod, and make white people feel comfortable around us. We did it for survival. If we didn't, there were real consequences to that. Back in the days of slavery, there were beatings and being sold off the plantation or in the workplace. And today we get labeled as trouble. I know some of you out there can relate to that. So we're taught that white comfort was safety for us, was basically safety for us. It was a sure instrument for Black survival.
Do you think we're still there today? Or do you think it was always there, but now it has sprouted out, is what I'm thinking.
I think it has. It's really a survival mode that our ancestors passed down from one generation to the next, and we've gotten so good at it. And that's the only way we could actually infiltrate through corporate America. I, in fact, was in corporate America for about 15 years, and rose to the top. But in order to rise to the top, you had to do a fair amount of, I'm going to say shucking and jiving, but that's not it. It's stepping fetching. And I will never say that I was stepping fetching, but there was a certain amount. There's a line that you don't cross, but there was a certain amount of that, and that's pretty scary.
And it's so unfortunate to have to live, if you want to play inside that world your whole life like that. And imagine those who do, and how it beats. I look at my uncle, who I contribute quite a bit. Yeah, you're breaking up again.
Am I?
Oh, you're back on now.
Okay.
So say what you were saying.
I was just really talking about in corporate America, how in order to rise in corporate America, I understood this, but so did everybody else. That in order to rise, you had to do a fair amount of smiling when you didn't really want to smile, and just sort of. I said step and fetching, but I don't really necessarily mean that, but it does. You know, if you think about those old movies and how to get along and to be in the house, a house versus a field inward, you had to learn how to make white people feel comfortable with your presence. And I think I would argue that has happened in corporate America across the board. I've seen it. I've experienced it to a certain degree, until I one day just had to leave because I didn't want to cross a line. I didn't want to. I needed to. For me, there were lines that I just would not cross.
Right. And look, we have to. I could tell a story from my uncle, and he used to work for a trunking company, actually all of Columbus. And my uncle was just excellent with his hands. He was a mechanic. He could do anything. He the one taught us. He the one taught us how to shoot. He built go-karts for us, mini bikes.
I'm jealous. You know how to shoot. I'm jealous.
Oh yeah, we went to the shooting range. I'm gonna sidestep and tell you this story.
Okay.
Our family, they kept saying, "Hey, we want to go to the shooting range. We could go on Mondays. Ladies shoot free." And I was like, "Okay," because I just think I'm great. I'm great at just about anything I do, right? I hadn't shot a gun in probably 15 years. And I don't even own a gun, but I know how to shoot a gun. And
my God.
So it was myself, my sister, my daughter, and her boyfriend. Now they all have guns. So I show up, and of course we all bet $5 who was going to do the best. And I just knew I don't know. I just knew I would beat them out. Probably not the boyfriend, but he shoots first, and of course he did quite well. And I used his gun. I don't know what type it was. It was probably a semi-automatic 9mm something. And he turns around and look at us three and say, "Well, who want to go next?" And everybody is just standing there. "Well, okay, but I'll go." Man, you got to see my shoot target sheet. I hit the target but 2 times, and I think
You hit the target?
yeah, of course I hit the
Well,
target.
I don't know why I'm feeling so amazed by that, because I've never shot a gun ever.
I hit the target, and it was 30 rounds, and two of the shots, so 28 times I hit my target, and I mean like head shots, right, upper body shots, and they all made me sign a disclosure not to show the target sheets because they were all embarrassed.
Yeah, but here you are bragging on them. You're
Right.
bragging on it.
And I'm really not supposed to be saying anything, but it was interesting. But I got a little feeling when I was in there. The place tight.
Was it? It isn't.
And my daughter and her boyfriend, and I was like, yeah, guys, we really didn't grow up. We had rifles and things like that. My uncle had a rifle case, right? And we shot guns. I know how to clean them. I know how to do everything, take care of them.
Wow.
I could see when I was in there certain little accidents that can happen.
Right.
And so I had to tell them, yeah, I don't know, but everybody now needs a want. I don't know if you need a gun, but everybody wants a gun. And you have to assume that everybody have them.
Yeah, but a lot of folks don't, and we know why Black people tend not to have guns. I think a lot of that has to do with it used to be against the law for us to have guns.
Yeah. But we do. I can remember in the 80s and the 90s when the police department, we used to hear this all the time, where they were going to buy back the guns. And I was like, yeah, I don't want you to buy back the guns, because all white people I know, they ain't only got guns. They got AR-15s, and my neighbors across the street, these people, I mean, amount of ammunition and guns. And if something ever breaks out, hell, what we gonna do?
See how I don't have anything to say to that?
Because calling on your God ain't gonna help us.
Yeah. So we figured out this way to survive by sort of smiling and saying yes. And do you remember that time when we couldn't even make eye contact with them? And that was even in the 70s and 80s, where you would approach people who could not make eye contact with white people when they were speaking to them, or anybody. I had a nephew that I would say, look at me, look at me. And so there was that tendency that we had to break those habits. Well, we're at another juncture where we've got to break some habits, but I'm watching our young people, and that's the beauty. I'm watching our young people embrace their wholeness, including gun ownership. And I think that's going to be a little bit scary for folks.
Well, and it's amazing when you just said, when we couldn't look white people in the eye, and you'll hear sometimes teachers when they're talking, white teachers talking to white boys, look at me when I'm speaking to you. God damn it, make up your minds. Maybe it might be in the back of their heads. Maybe it was passed down,
Well, it was passed down if you think about it. But I think our children, though, if they're not looking at you, and today I was talking with a girl today, and for lunch, I went and just had her out, and I never call her out. But today I said, come on, Tiana, let's sit down and talk with another young man. And she was giving me a story, and she never looked at me once. And I thought about that. I didn't say to her, look at me, because I decided I'm going to just study what she's doing exactly. Can she get through that whole story talking to me? One other child was at the table, and never, ever look at me. And sure enough, she got through that whole story, and she's a 5th grader, and she never looked at me once. And it wasn't a story that was bad or whatever. She was just telling me a story. And I thought, we got to work on that. But I'm not going to work on that now, because I was really just studying what do kids do when they interact with adults. and she's in our garden program, and I just happened to be there for lunch today and just watched that non-threatening communication with absolutely no eye contact.
Well, I was going to say, was you towering over her? Was you exalting fear, or do she look at you as the authority?
Good questions. So, good questions, because I had to assess that while she was looking. It's like the kid that she's sitting next to, Jersey, was the most non-threatening young kid I've ever seen. And their peers, and I was actually paying them. I came to pay them for some work they did because we were putting soil in the garden beds the other day. And I said, okay, you two, you're not officially in the program, but you're here because of your siblings and your younger siblings. So I'm going to pay you to go get all of that soil off and into these 12 beds. And they did a remarkable job. And then I said, and then I'm going to show up sometime this week and I'll pay you. And so I came in, they came out into the garden, we sat and we ate, and I let them talk to me. And then I paid them afterwards. So it was a totally non-threatening opportunity to just sit and chat.
Maybe you should have paid them first, and then you could have.
Well, it was just non-threatening, and the kids love to come out when they see me come. They know, the hands start raising, but I came there with a very the intention of paying these kids, these two. So I brought them out, and I rarely talk to her, but I talk with him a lot because she used to be in trouble all the time. And so now I'm monitoring that this year as a fifth grader. And she just had a tough time. But I said, whatever it is that is causing her to do that, whether it's habit or what have you, or just a fear for what the adults might do or say.
Right.
I will be working on that with her this year for sure, among other things. But that is something that definitely we need to. But because we learn, and I do believe it's passed down through the generations. And some families maybe don't quite have it down pat where their children really understand eye contact is an important thing, especially for Black people. And since she is a part of that generation coming, this is our opportunity to correct that wherever we see it. Absolutely. But I think we've lost so much doing that, sort of using passive, submissive behavior when we're communicating. But I think not just personally, but as a people, I think we've lost a lot. So I would argue that America, because of our past, has lost its greatness by demanding that we comply and that we have this submissive type behavior instead of embracing our outright contributions and who we are. So whenever I'm working with someone, that's children, that's pretty much what I'm thinking. But if you think about us as a Black people, all of the inventions, the innovations, and the ideas that were created by Black hands that history has erased pretty much. Who knew growing up that the traffic light was us?
Right.
Who knew growing up that the blood banks, that was us too? Or the modern refrigeration, or the technology behind the light bulb. We know all about Edison, but do we know about Latimer, right? We don't. So we built so much in this country, yet we're told we don't belong in it. But when I interact with kids like the ones that I interacted with today, they don't know this stuff. And it's important that they grow up knowing the greatness that we've contributed to this country. Sure. So I think we're living in a time when young Black athletes, for example, because I'm following Shedeur Sanders, and professionals and entertainers and politicians are showing up fully themselves right now. It's kind of scary watching them actually take center stage in sports, for example, that they typically, we were not in.
Was not allowed.
Yeah. That's it.
Mhm.
But they're not shrinking, Mona. They're not shrinking. They're not even apologizing for their talent. And they're not performing to make white spaces feel comfortable. They're performing to win and to really exert the talent that we have. I mean, they prepared for the moment, and they don't shrink away from it. So, but what's the reward for all of that? They get ridiculed. You've heard about it on the tennis circuit with Taylor Townsend.
Mhm.
They get resistance. We're seeing that definitely with Shedeur Sanders. And in some cases, they get removed altogether. And we have to pay attention that the fight is really still here. So I've been following Coco Gauff, and I know that you follow tennis a great deal. In fact, you go to tennis matches, U.S. Open. And I'm definitely following Shedeur Sanders, because that's just an enigma to me. I cannot understand how somebody as great as he is in terms of his performance being on a national stage, international, because they were just in I think London, being put to the bottom. He's not being recognized for the greatness that he has. So they are two of the clearest examples, in my opinion, of this shift that we're seeing, that our children are rising to the occasion, and yet they're being met with so much resistance. And this is how America still reacts to Black excellence. We talk about Black excellence, but really, what happens to our kids or us when we go into traditionally white spaces and refuse to assimilate? What happens to us? That's the question.
So I could do a little parallel here, because when you look at Serena Williams, and I'll just go back to Serena Williams and Shedeur Sanders, they would have been more accepted if they didn't have phenomenal parents. If they didn't have parents who already told them who they were, who didn't need approval from said white society, right? So when Serena Williams came on to those courts, they already knew they were great. They already knew, and they believed it. I never forget the interview that Mrs. Williams did with somebody on 60 Minutes. I can't remember which one. And the guy, he just kept badgering her. He kept asking her, well, how do you know you're going to win the and she says, because I believe, I know who I am. And
I love that. I love that.
Her father stopped the interview like, hey, you're back. She's already. He wanted to break her, and she couldn't be broke. And it's the same thing with Coco Gauff, or either Shedeur Sanders. These kids already know that they are great, even though
they were brought up that way. They were brought up and
it was installed in them from the beginning.
Right.
And they don't need validation from the greater society.
They don't.
And that's the problem. Now, you might have others. Let's see, and I'm not taking anything away from any of the other parents whose children were superstars. But if they get to be the parent, meaning the white culture or the white coaches, if they believe if they get to pour into them to build them up, then they're able to push them a little bit more. But these kids, they need that. And Coco Gauff. I mean, did you see that match on Saturday?
I only watched the highlights. I get nervous even with football. I get so nervous, and I don't want to watch every single ball hit. I don't want to see it. Oh, yeah. So afterwards, I find out who wins, and then I go in and then
go back and watch
it. And then I just watch the highlights and just to see what went on. But I can't sit through an entire match. I would just go nuts.
Oh yeah. Well, it is sometimes finger biting and everything like that. And I've had to learn to calm down because I do know the other people want to win as well. There are some great people who are playing at that level, like football and tennis. They're all great.
Yeah.
But these kids that we're talking about are exceptional, right?
And
That
I think
Coco is to be so young. They have really studied and followed, and I'm sure her parents brought in their own thing as they was raising her, guiding her, and training her. But it was amazing that first match. And after the first match, I remember saying to my niece, she's going to win this, and she's going to win it in 2 sets. And she won it in 2 sets.
And she won it in 2 sets.
It was just awesome. And the other girl played really well. Actually, the young lady as well. She played really well. But it is something about like Coco, Venus and Serena. There's something about them. And whatever it is, they have it.
But you said it though, and I think this is what scares white America, is that baby boomer parents, that would be us, we have had at least the money and the wherewithal to pour into our children in atypical or just sports and other areas that maybe their parents before them didn't. So if we did nothing else, we poured into our children, and they have become probably the most educated and or the most talented in whatever it was we focused on with them, and they are now surpassing their children, right? So I think when you said the parent factor, Richard Williams and Coco Gauff's parents, I'm sorry, I don't quite know them as intimately as I do. Everybody does Richard because of the film,
right?
But they, at a very, very, very early age, answered the call with making sure that those kids' talents were realized to the highest level. And I think that happens from time to time with us. And it's happening more than I think white America is comfortable with.
And when you look at someone like her, and when I look at someone like Maria Sharapova, the difference, because when Coco is talking, very intelligent. I mean, and these young people, she is intelligent.
And that's a piece of it. That's a part of that training that they obviously got.
And the family dynamics, because she talks about her grandmother a lot. They're from Fort Pierce down south, right? And they talk about God. She talks about God a lot. She talks about purpose. She talks about her community and giving back. Where other players mostly talks about the endorsement, images of management, and somehow it makes them different.
They're
honestly,
different.
It makes the
Kendrick Lamar said,
it makes them uncomfortable. It makes them uncomfortable because she really is thinking for herself, her mom, her sister, and I don't really think it's about money for them. It just comes natural. And the endorsements that she do get, they're top of the line. She's not seeking them, you know. It is a difference, and she's taking the bag, you know, as they say. And it's interesting when you're looking at those the matches and you're listening to the commentator. You can hear a little bit of the vibes how they're talking.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Because that's an important thing, is how we get described by the media.
When they say stuff like this, when it's obviously Coco's gonna, I think it was the first match. It was 3-0 to love. So that means that Paroli had won 3 and Coco had lost 1. She broke her. She broke her in the first round. The first round, right? And then they would say stuff like this. Oh, well, Coco is going to have to watch out because Coley is this and she's smart and she's a critical thinker, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah,
right.
See, those little under...
microaggressions.
Yes.
Totally microaggressions. And they think they're complimenting, right?
Yes. And they can't be as open as they was when they were when we all really came onto the scene when Serena and Venus was there, because these people were openly racist. I don't think, and you have to even give their parents a lot of something credit for the way that they had to carry themselves and to go into a lot of those courts, and people are just booing them and everything. Yes. And yet, I don't even know if I could have been able to concentrate under that kind of pressure. And it fueled them. And Serena, said later, that's what gave her. Now, Venus is a little bit different, but yeah. And it's stuff like that. And so when they see that Coco is going to end up winning this thing outright, then they shift their conversation.
Yeah, they do. They absolutely do. But you know what? I want to put a picture of her up there because her authenticity, because she just won the Wuhan, China Invitational. I don't know what they call it, but she won.
That was and that was a big. It's not a major, but that's the next big event.
But it had all the players in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. All of them were there, and Coco prevailed and actually won the thing. But her authenticity, it stands out in a sport that's been dominated by white women who are often pressured to be polite and reserved and predictable. But I think you're right. With Black women now dominating the sport, their microaggressions are right there. And I love how Coco, Venus, and Serena, and even Naomi Osaka have identified those, and they're calling them out. Coco isn't any of that. She's not that polite, reserved, predictable person you can walk on. She's composed and real. When she celebrates, but when she cries, she almost does the ugly cry out there. It's like she has her full emotion out there, which some would say is not appropriate, or she shouldn't be doing that, but she doesn't care. And I think she had to make sure that people understood that she feels whatever they're feeling. And Naomi Osaka, hats off to her, kudos to her too, with the whole mental health thing with regard to tennis players. If after a match, she loses and she doesn't feel like talking to the press, for example, that's exactly what it is. She does not want to talk with the press. So I don't know. I like the authenticity of Black women tennis players. It's really refreshing.
Sure. Look, when you're planning a high intense, sometimes at least an hour and 30 minutes to 2 hours, and you lose and you don't give it 110%, you don't really feel like it. And they probably should give them a minute to gather themselves. But I do know that the people in the stands want to hear from them. But what we're seeing with Coco and with all of them, Naomi, Taylor, Serena, and Coco, those are the faces of all of us. Yes?
I think so.
And all different types of Black women across America, right? And they're bringing their authentic and excellent into white spaces. And I can only imagine when you have that type of all those faces going into, let's just say, corporate America here in Hillsborough County, or the school system. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
What and if you're too loud, too confident, or too mean, too ambitious, we're always worried. And we have to make ourselves smaller or dimmer in some form, because if you shine some kind of way, they don't like it, they don't appreciate it.
Yeah. And you see that in, I hate to say it, but you see that in the schools. When our kids are any of those things too loud or whatever else, or they're talking too much, they get labeled as, kids that are, troubled kids, or they don't even say troubled kids. They just see them as bad kids that need to go into maybe some of the classes where bad kids go. But they don't do that necessarily with the white kids.
Oh, no,
right?
No. I saw that firsthand.
Yeah.
In second grade, when my daughter was in second grade, there was a little white boy. And they called him, damn it, can't even think. But him and this black guy, I felt, and the black guy was just very, very, very smart. In second grade, this guy was smart, but he had a lot of energy. And the white boy did too.
Yeah.
They understood his energy.
Right.
And almost criminalized. And I had to bring that attention because I used to.
Oh my God.
I had to bring it to the teacher's attention and tell her, look, I'm noticing this. And I happen to even know the boy's parents. So I knew he came from a 2-parent household. I knew he was very smart, very good. Wasn't bad, but that's what she saw him as.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Did you look at the? I'm gonna switch up a minute here. Did you look at the school board meeting yesterday?
I did not.
They were asking to come down because they were thinking about closing Walton Academy, and they end up doing that. But I just took a notice of school board member Nadia Cole, and the way that she was talking. I didn't like it. It had nothing to do with belittling her, and she's been her true self. And when we had someone like Tammy Schamberger, they didn't like it. See, that's what I'm saying. She couldn't be her true self.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That is very correct. It's good that you brought up Tammy Schamberger, who to this day I'm like, oh, I miss her so. Because she did stand up for and made sure that the board, the school district, dealt with the issues in D5, in District 5. So is it 5 or 3?
It's 5, I think.
Yeah, I think it's 5 too.
3 is county commission.
Yep. So absolutely. I think the worst thing is that many of us, and this has been historical as well, we've internalized the lies that we were too much this, too loud. I think the world sees us as that. We've internalized it, and we're believing that our light must be dimmed in order for others to shine. And I think when I talk about the race hierarchy all the time, and I think Black women are on the bottom and demonized because if they let us out and we just did our thing, we're already seeing how great we are. And they all know this. They know this. Everybody knows that. So I don't know. But Shedeur Sanders. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to just say, when you said on a national stage or a world stage, and when you look at Jasmine Crockett, she can't be her true, authentic self, who is smart, intelligent, but you have someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, or you have any of these mega rights. Yeah. And then you have Black men who want to dim Jasmine Crockett light, as in Stephen A. Smith. This is the kind of that just
I
makes
don't
me.
listen to anything Stephen A. Smith says.
I don't either, but I look at the highlights because he talks mostly about. I didn't even know who Stephen A. Smith was, so my niece came to live.
Oh my God.
And you know, he talks mostly about sports, but now we're seeing him entering into the politics world. And I was like, dude, come on. Now this is just stepping in and I'm shucking and jiving.
Yeah. Stephen A. Smith shucks and jives.
Yes.
Yes, he does.
He's a coon. And I don't want to say that about the brother, but he's a freaking coon.
The brother, you can go right ahead and say it, but Stephen A. Smith shucks and jives. Stephen A. Smith measures the temperature of white America.
Yeah.
Sees where they are going, and you can almost predict the side he is going to take. He began supporting Shedeur after, not before, after President Trump weighed in to say to those NFL owners, what are you guys doing? This man is talented. And all of a sudden, Stephen A. Smith pops up and he's got to say, you know, he's got to speak on behalf of Shedeur. Everything he speaks about, you can tell he has gotten permission somewhere, because he's very good at reading the tea leaves and reading between the lines of white America so that he can feed them exactly what they want. And it is very profitable for him. He grifts off of any and everything.
Yeah, he's definitely a grifter. But you know, if I was Shedeur Sanders or his dad, maybe I would tell him to keep my effing name out of his mouth. I would say that to him, because I don't need your approval now.
Yeah.
If you're not man enough, I mean, you're supposed to just be delivering the sports, delivering the stats. If the stats say that he is that great in all of this, what's the problem?
Yeah.
You know, I don't understand that. Yeah.
I don't get it either, but I just think as Black people, we really do need to pay attention, because our children are ready. And you know, let's look at Shedeur Sanders, right? What's going on with Shedeur Sanders these days?
Wow, you know, he represents a generational shift, in my opinion. He's talent, he's polished, he's definitely grounded. But because he and his family refuse to bow to the white norms, he's constantly under attack and being held back.
Exactly.
And people in power, in that sports entertainment system, they know the clues, when to say, when to speak, when not to speak.
Yeah, I think some people have called the NFL a plantation, and I think I did a stat out there that some 70 plus or minus % of the NFL players are African American or Black, and I think that says a lot, because you've got the Sanders family that move with a level of pride and confidence that challenges the comfort zone of white America. I said it. That's right. That is exactly what is going on here. So Deion built a brand that celebrates Blackness, and he built it off his own talent. They've got the style. They've got the faith, because they talk about their faith in God. They've got the family and trust, and they do all of this unapologetically. Right.
But hold your thought. Isn't that what they said? Because they kind of shaped or helped, maybe they believe, raise Deion. I don't know his background from his parents.
You said they kind of helped. What are you saying?
Football, the coaches and things like that, and help get him. You know, he already had the talent, because you have to have the talent. But I don't know his family background.
Right.
I'm sure it wasn't what his children's background is. And now he doesn't need their help in that way. And I believe that's the problem. Because he stayed and he raised his kids, and They're all successful, and he built them up, because if the Sanders was white, that's all we'll be hearing about.
Well, you got that already. You got the Manning family.
Yeah, see, I don't know football like that, but like I do know. What was his name? He was a quarterback, right?
Peyton Manning, Eli Manning. Yeah, yep.
So
you got the Manning family. They're supposed to be football dynasty. That's literally what they call them, football dynasty.
Did their dad play football?
No, but you've got Peyton and Eli. But they also have a nephew that is playing right now at Texas Longhorn, and he's supposed to be good, but guess what? He's not that good.
Yeah,
but because he's a Manning, they are about to roll out the red carpet for this guy.
And they're gonna blow it up. And they're gonna make him great.
They're gonna force him into greatness. Yes. Even though, as generally happens in white America, even though he's mediocre and doesn't hold a candle against black players similarly situated, they will boost him up as if he is the next thing since sliced bread. That is the problem that Shedeur is undergoing, and it parallels what we are experiencing here in this country. And I just don't want people to miss that there's a reason why the number 1 or 2 or at least 3 draft fell to the 5th round, number 144, and it was all intentional to teach the Sanders family and Black America, don't mess with us. We are the ones in control here.
Yeah. It is crazy, but look, it's the classic double standard that has shadowed Black success since Reconstruction. Yeah.
Yes.
And we have, I don't know, we have allowed that to continue to happen. We are allowed to entertain, but not to embody power. We could play sports, and when we look at their confidence, it represents a self-possession that white America still isn't comfortable with. They don't like what they call uppity Negroes. My grandmother used to say that all the time. Uppity Negroes. Arrogance. They don't like that.
Right.
The idea that a young Black man that doesn't need their approval or their money, it's kind of terrifying to the system and to them. The system that's built on us depending on.
That's correct. They complain about, oh, you guys are all dependent, welfare and blah, blah, blah. But it is a system that is working exactly as they have planned it. And when they have someone who actually beat the system, and the Sanders family definitely have, that pisses them off. But what that does is it creates a role model for Black families. And they absolutely do not want Black fathers to get a clue as to what happens when they actually steer their young boys into greatness. And that is what has happened here. And that is what they need to shut down as quickly as they possibly can. That's what we're experiencing. Make no mistake about it. They must shut them down. And we're all waiting. And the problem too, Mona, is that it's not just Black people saying, play him, let Shedeur play, white folks are doing it as well. Wow. Because they don't really have an understanding of what's happening. They don't understand the nature of racism in this country. It is something we experience and we feel on a day-to-day basis. So there's a lot of folks out there thinking that, they don't know what it is. They're coming up with all kinds of excuses, but we know what it is. We recognize it when we see it. But there's white.
Let me ask you this: how many games have they played so far this season? You know?
Yeah, 6.
Okay.
I think they're going into their 7th game.
Has he played or started in any of the games?
No.
Oh, wow. And now, what team do he play for?
He plays for the Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland Browns? Yeah, I'm kind of familiar with the Cleveland Browns. And he hasn't played. And what position do he play?
Oh, my gosh. You really aren't tapped in.
I mean, if you tell me, it'll come to me. I don't know.
All right. So he plays. I'm sorry. I was trying to do something else. He plays quarterback.
Oh, okay.
And he's like the number coming out of college. He's the number 1 or 2 at the very least 3rd best quarterback coming out of college.
Okay.
And he is running circles around all 5 of the quarterbacks Cleveland had. Now they're down to maybe 3, 1 on practice squad, and then you've got him, the Dylan Gabriel, the white boy, and then Shedeur, Dylan Gabriel, the white boy, as the number 1, and Shedeur, the black boy, as the number 2. But everybody knows and can clearly see that the black boy, number 2, should be number 1.
So are they winning under the white boy?
No.
No, okay, but I don't follow it.
No. And I'm not saying that to you. I'm saying it like that's the incredible part about it.
Okay.
He is not.
So the owners rather lose than because eventually, that's how this stuff work out. So let's say this whole year he doesn't play.
You're about to make a great point. I can hear it.
And to the end, and they might be getting a chance to get ready to go to the playoffs. They're gonna have to put him in there, and they're gonna be looking like shit all over their face, egg all over their face. Come on, but you're not gonna hold him back, Yeah. You go hold him down for a minute, but he eventually is gonna shine, and y'all gonna have to let him do what he do.
That's true. They are going to have to let him do what he does, and I think that I don't know what the motivation is, the background in terms of what they're trying to do, but they're trying to do something, because what we are seeing on the face is obviously just outright racism. Or is it? And you know how this country is willing to give up democracy altogether so that the black people can't be in charge?
Mm-hmm.
They are willing to totally throw democracy out because black folks are becoming way too powerful, and they do not want, as the demographics shift in this country, for black folks with all of that education, because we've got more education than Hispanics do and any other minority. So if we're part of the majority minority, we are obviously going to be in control. They cannot let that happen. Well, let's go back to football. Let's go back to football. Shedeur is obviously the most talented quarterback that they have. In fact, they stole Shedeur for $4 million over the next 4 years.
Oh, hold on. Are you saying he's the most qualified overall?
On that, the most qualified on that team. But Shedeur will tell you, and I would probably back that up, he's probably more qualified and a better performer than all of the quarterbacks. And in fact, he's watching them play. Even Cam Newton. I know who Cam Newton is. Even Cam Newton is not playing on a level that Shedeur believes he can deliver on. And pretty much the commentators are even saying that Cam is not, doing as well as he could. And it could be.
Wait. Hold your thought. I thought he had retired.
Who?
Cam Newton is still playing?
Okay, then that's not who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, but the guy's name is Cam something.
Okay. But Cam Newton, the guy who he has a podcast.
Yeah. Cam Newton is always talking and with the hat and the
Yeah,
braids and
he's
whatever
retired,
else
I
he
believe.
dreads. Number one college pick. Here, I'm going to give you the name.
He was a number one college pick at one time. I do remember that.
I know, but we're talking about right now. Number one overall picks. Come on. Oh, I meant last year. They're trying to give me this year, and I really don't care about what's coming out this year.
Ask somebody on Facebook. Any of you guys know who's the number one pick this year
Well, last year.
or last year?
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence was number one to the Jaguars. Cam Ward. Sorry. It was Cam Ward.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cam Newton. I meant Cam Ward. So I guess what I'm saying is that Stefanski, who is the coach.
Hold your thought again. Even that. He was the number one pick, and you're saying Shedeur Sanders should have been the number one. Or he is
well, I'm not saying that Shedeur should have
the Heisman Trophy.
I'm not saying Shedeur.
No, I remember who got the Heisman Trophy.
Okay.
It was
I'm not saying. That was
it was
Hunter.
Somebody from his
Travis Hunter.
Yes,
Travis Hunter with the Jaguars.
Yes.
I'm not saying that he should have been number one or two or three, but he should have been one of them. And what's bearing out in the right now in the NFL with barely any first what is it called, the reps, first team reps, or whatever they call them. That's what I'm going to call them. Mm-hmm. And he still, in my opinion, will likely outperform everybody that was chosen before him. So I'm saying in general that white men in power will destroy, in this case, the Cleveland Brown franchise.
Sure.
So as not to allow this black family, Shedeur Sanders, Deion's father, to
prove a point.
Win.
Yeah.
They won't have it. So we're into the 7th game next week, and everybody's saying start Shedeur. But I'm not sure that's necessarily going to happen because the coach,
and you know why? It's not going to happen.
There's something else going on. I'm not sure what it is, but I think there's something else going on. But surely they do not want Shedeur, his father, even. I think they're afraid of Deion, that Deion's going to come out and take their jobs or something, because Deion obviously coached a football genius.
Yeah. And look, something else. We as Black Americans and the Cleveland Browns won't hold their dollars, won't stop watching if they really believe that this guy should not be the starting quarterback that's starting, and they want to see him winning. Because what are they, winning or losing?
They're losing.
Yes,
they won one game, but that was almost a fluke.
He's going to be stubborn because he will dismantle all, because he's not going to take orders from Negroes. He's not going to be proud. He doesn't want to be proud. He doesn't want to be proud of the team. I don't even know how the other players on the team isn't saying, look, I'm tired of going out here every week.
They are. They're saying it. They're speaking up more and more. Yeah. Especially the black players.
Particularly when you have someone here that, because they want to win too. They want to go to the Super Bowl. They want to be able to go to the playoffs.
From what I can tell, Stefanski may be trying to wait until next year, and he did not, and he wanted to maybe have a losing season this year so that he can have a good pick good pick position in the next draft. And he and I think they're getting a brand new stadium, and he just wants to And he doesn't want Shedeur to be the star of that. He probably wants a white quarterback. You remember not that long ago, there were no black quarterbacks. And then all of a sudden it became rare when we had, who was it here? Come on, who was the black quarterbacks?
Williams was the first one I know. Doug Williams.
Exactly. My mom, one of the only football players that she really knows is Doug Williams. But for the most part, there were no black quarterbacks because we weren't smart enough.
Right.
And they are proving that differently. Somebody did say to me on Facebook, they said, well, kind of kills your argument about racism because there's like 15 quarterbacks for the first time ever starting at the NFL level in that first week. And I said, well, you obviously don't get it, right? As long as those 15 quarterbacks that are starting, Shedeur would have been the 16th, need that job, that plays right into their book. It's like being employed. If I need this job, then yeah, they're going to employ me, especially if I have the talent, particularly if I have the talent. If I don't need that job and all of a sudden I'm kind of telling you what to do, they don't want to hire that.
Right.
So
when he could walk away. Now, of course, he doesn't want to walk away.
Of course he doesn't, because they don't understand black people.
This is what he wants to do.
They don't understand that. They don't understand that. They don't understand us, and that's who we are. So they have to measure who we are based on who they are. And they don't understand that if everything is taken care of and I can actually do what I want to do, I don't care what it is, I'm going to do it with joy and happiness. And they don't do that because they're always striving to get more. And you see that. You see that with all the billionaires. They're always trying to figure out how to get more. That is not the black psyche. And they don't get that. So we get penalized based on their view, of the world. So I don't know. I could go on and on because I do follow this. I don't really watch football, but when he plays, I'm watching.
If I'm here or somebody tell me to watch it, I do look at it. I remember when Dion went to Colorado, and we went up to one of the games, and it was all excited. And if I go, I can look at it. Yeah, got my Colorado T-shirt. I think it was the second year. It had to be the second year. It wasn't the first year. It was the second year.
Yeah.
And so it was exciting, and it was just exciting to see all of what the energy he was bringing to the college. But my thing on that, I thought he should have stayed till HBC. But it is what it is. He's there, and he's done well by his kids. Done well by the team altogether. We got a chance to interact with a lot of them, and they were all excited. So I don't. When I see people like this, I saw that in the school system. White teachers who would deliberately try to destroy black kids, and I was like, "What do you get out of that? What do you get out of trying to break a third grader or a second grader?"
Now that's interesting. That's interesting that you said break.
To break them, yeah. and it just takes me back to the mind. It just took me over here because I want to do an episode of all these white pastors and white politicians who are pedophiles. I mean, like, what do you get out of this? Come on. They say something is wrong with us. I beg the difference.
Well, they know that there's nothing wrong with us. They know that there's something wrong with them, and they then take that which is wrong with them and put it on us or project it onto us. That has always been the MO, and we're finally seeing that and discovering that. But to your point of trying to break our children, but even with Shedeur breaking, they're really trying to break him.
Yeah.
But I saw somebody, an ex-football player talking to Shedeur, and he said, "Don't let them break you. Just continue being who you are." And he said, "I know how they do that." So he was giving the benefit of his experience to a young Shedeur to say, "Do not let them break you." And I just thought that was so encouraging, which is what I try to do with our kids. It's like, and I'll say to the teacher, it's like, so-and-so likes to talk a lot, but you know what we could do to help, blah, 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 just so that they don't break our children. Because if they break our children, then our children cannot compete with their children on the job market.
Right.
And we need to be conscious of that. So if our children are sort of in your face, and we do have some of those kids, right? And they end up in ISS or whatever they're calling it these days. We have to be able to address that and to really teach our children how to function in a white society, but not by shrinking or diminishing themselves. And I believe that's what Richard Williams did with Venus and Serena. That is certainly what Shedeur has done with his boys, his children, actually.
Yes, they like to poke the bear, then hide their hands and say, "What?" And I believe that's what they're trying to get out of him is a reaction.
Yeah, Kunta Kinte. Remember that? My name is Kunta Kinte, and they whipped him some more. My name is Kunta Kinte. What's your name? And they wanted him to say Toby. But he kept saying, "My name is Kunta Kinte." And I think if you think about it, that's what's happening with Shedeur. Yep. So I think what's happening in sports, Mona, is a reflection of what's happening everywhere else. And I think that's what one of the points that we need to make tonight is to get people to begin paying attention to what is actually happening with us. So as more Black professionals show up authentically and refusing to code switch or refusing to conform and doing what's right rather than what's expedient, not going along with the BS, there's been a visible backlash. And let's just talk about it. Kamala Harris tried to run for the presidency, but unfortunately she listened too much to them and could not genuinely, you could see that she was trying, but had she genuinely got to be her authentic self, I think she would have fared much, much better.
Much better.
Yeah. And then you've got Letitia James.
Because look, she would have been able to connect with maybe
definitely
more of us.
Yeah, she would have.
And it's unfortunate because whether she connected or not, and even the Democrats, because we're all paying the price now, right?
Yep, we've all paying the price.
I can remember you and I doing these podcasts about Project 2025 and telling them what was ahead and how dark it was going to be and how scary it was going to be. And I can remember Albert saying, "Oh, Mona, you're overthinking. It's not going to be that bad, but God damn it, it's that bad. And it's going to get worse."
It is that bad, and it will get worse.
And it's going to get worse.
Yeah, we're not trying to scare you, folks. It is here. It has arrived.
Just reading it was scary. I was just like, if these people have the opportunity to do this, if the people would have read it, because we read it, and it was scary. And I believe them. They said that's what they were going to do.
They wrote it down.
They wrote it down. They wrote it in a book for us. And my grandmother have always said, the snakes, believe them.
They wrote it down. But even Kamala, even with, and I don't like to conflate our issues with what was going on in Palestine, but she would have, if she would have just been her authentic self, she would have said, "We're going to stop that war." But she couldn't say it because she was following the warmongering white tendency to always be at war with folks. to accumulate or overtake people.
Mhm.
And that's not who we are. That's not who she was. And although we kind of felt like, okay, let's get her in there. And of course, she's going to make that shift. But we didn't know. But for the most part, if she's being authentic Black, I think we would have seen that. I think we would have seen it. Now, I'm just saying, I think. I didn't say I know. I said I think.
Listen to this. And as we look, and, they claim they did a peace deal. They haven't done a peace deal. And I don't think anyone is going to be able to stop what's going to continue.
Yeah, I'm doing the laughing emoji. You're right. They haven't done one. And they're setting it up so that they can take over that Gaza Strip beachfront.
Either that guy's going to have to be killed. It's not going to stop. I just don't think, for some kind of reason, those people have the power over the whole world.
Those people who?
Israel and
that's
Netanyahu.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to be clear and call them out so that people do understand that Israel has the power.
Yeah, I don't think he has the power to do it.
I don't know how that happened, but yeah,
it's strange. Yeah,
but then you have Letitia James. You see how she talks? I love how she talks. She talks with strength. She doesn't hesitate. She has this look. She just this da-da. And I'm sure she pisses Trump off every time she gets in front of a mic. Yeah, I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
But then you have, and I say the Georgia attorney, but Fani Willis. Remember Fani?
Yeah, from Atlanta.
You see notice these are Black women that are challenging status quo, that are challenging white establishment America. And they're challenging them on behalf of everybody else because everybody else is afraid. I mean, everybody else is afraid. They don't know what to do. So, and then you got, you remember Melissa Harris Perry?
Yeah, that was the first. She's come on the weekend on MSNBC.
Yes, I used to think.
I thought she was fantastic. A lot of history. I mean, she could just rattle it off. I used to love.
She was everything Black. She was Black.
Yes,
she was Black. They didn't like all that Black.
Yes, and she came in. I think she came in when Obama was either his. I think it was his second term. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure when she came in, but I did watch her.
And they just bring us in, use us, and then sing you off.
But she was too Black. She was way too Black, and I'm sure that people complained about her, and then she was no more. I'm just saying it. Keep it real. That is what happened to Melissa Harris Perry. And then
why don't we complain when they're too white?
Because it doesn't matter to them. That doesn't matter. It doesn't carry the same weight. It does not carry the same weight.
We say that we're not going to start supporting the sponsorships, the ads, and if
y'all can't come together and do that, you don't do it. You can't come together.
That's the problem. Yes, that's the problem. And when we say,
and they know this,
we're going to stop because since Trump, probably way before then, I used to look at Morning Joe religiously every morning.
Me too.
I have not turned on Joe and Mika because
me either.
Yeah, MSNB I just haven't turned
no way. Yeah,
I don't think my television in my bedroom has been on maybe once or twice this whole year.
I don't even have one in my bedroom, but
I
used to watch Spectrum on my phone. I don't even turn Spectrum on anymore.
Well, I started listening to Urban View on Sirius XM. And
yeah, I'm on YouTube. That's true. Yeah,
and that's what I listen to in the morning because I'm not listening to that foolishness anymore.
It's absolutely, and it's so funny how we were just so indoctrinated and how great it was. Just that's where we got the news. And then all of a sudden, that's not where we're getting our news. And I love that. I love that about us in that respect.
Look, I can't trust those people. I'm sorry. I don't trust them to. And when we realize that they're able to tell us whatever they want us to know or to think.
That's
when I realized that, I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to get my, and when we realized when Joy Reid got off that she had to dispute or say whatever they put in front of her to say.
Yeah, but don't you like Joy Reid better now?
I'm loving her now because at one point I wasn't liking her either,
I know you weren't. I know.
I was dragging her left and right because I was like, sister,
I know
you can come off that high cloud and come down here with the people because you do not know what's going on. Particularly when Harris was running, we used to debate it all the time.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, you people don't understand what the people on the ground is going through. But now she sees.
But she knew, but she couldn't say it.
Didn't know. She says she didn't know.
I refuse to believe that Harvard grad. I refuse to believe that Harvard grad did not have her ear, especially with her association with the griot, that she did not know what was going on. She's well read, and there's enough books and literature out there by Black authors that she knew what she was saying. And I think that she now is free and released. And it's like anybody in corporate America who followed the corporate speak, knowing that that's a bunch of BS. I know, because I was in corporate America. You do what you need to do to keep that paycheck. So I call corporations pretty much a very new and different type of plantation. And we just need to, back to what we were saying a couple sessions ago, we got to figure out how to buy from our own, build up our own Black commercial space so that we can employ people and build an economic industry that is very Black. And that's what we're not doing. And we need to do that. And that includes the media as well. Roland Martin.
Yes, even him. Well, he's still there, but you look at the difference between Don Lemon when he was on CNN.
Yes.
And did you notice? I tell the people what who's following us right now.
Oh yeah, Don Lemon is one of our friends on, and that was kind of cool to see. Yeah, Don Lemon. Yes. Is friending We Are Black Independent. So we just got to get that message out there. We've got to move different, folks. And there's enough with the political commentators that have been fired from MSNBC because they're not doing the corporate white speak, including Roland Martin from CNN a while ago, because they are too Black in their thinking. We need that. And they are on their own. If you don't like them or friend them or subscribe to them, do that now, because we have to begin building up our own infrastructure. Sure. So I think Tiffany Cross too. Initially, I didn't like Tiffany Cross when she was on MSNBC because I said, her voice is just driving me crazy.
Really?
She used to drive me crazy.
I don't know why. I've always liked Tiffany,
but she was really.
They have a podcast. Her Angela Rye.
Native Pod or something. Native Land Pod or something like that.
Land.
Yeah.
Native Land.
I the more I listened to her, even when she was on MSNBC, and that's why I think she was also fired, because she became a target of Fox News, who began talking about her in ways that MSNBC, the little suckers, they decided to fold and fired her too, based on something she said. But she was talking to Black folks, and yes. I loved that about her. I was really getting on board with her. And you compare that to the ones who stay, it's still there with MSNBC. They're not like Joy Reid. They're not like Tiffany Cross. They're not like Melissa Harris Perry. They
But what do you
are
think about
very,
Rachel Maddow?
they're very corporate. Say that again.
What do you think about Rachel? But you don't ever hear Fox say anything about her. I used to like her too, but I haven't watched her in years either.
I haven't
Because
watched her because I don't do MSNBC,
right.
but I've always liked Rachel. But you can't measure what they do with white people with what they do with black people. It's a whole different standard. It's a different standard. So she gets a pass from them because she makes them a lot of money, and they pay her like some $20 million a year. So she gets a pass for what she does because she still pulls in, although she lost a lot of viewers, she still pulls in more than anybody else. And for them, that's dollars and cents.
Okay. Well,
I'm pretty sure they're kind of pissed with her too.
A lot of black viewers anymore because everybody I know don't even watch it anymore.
Yeah, and I'm one of those people that just don't, because I'm like, I liked Rachel, but I don't like what that whole network is doing. So I'd rather lend my eyeballs to folks on the YouTube that were fired from MSNBC, CNN, and all of those.
Even Lawrence O'Donnell, I used to like to watch it. I mean, I used to look at
Lawrence was good too.
I used to look at the whole lineup.
Yeah, we all did.
That used to be my every night thing, and now that it's gone, I mean, hey, I feel so liberated because now I realize it was all mostly BS.
Yeah, it's mostly BS. I think Lawrence, though, does a pretty good job of steering clear of the BS. He's more honest, but I just don't even bother to turn it on. So over the past year, and I know we say this a lot, but I think repetition sometimes is important, that we understand that over 300,000 professional Black women have left or been pushed out of the workforce. That's a lot. And it's well over 300,000 because we've been saying this now for over a month. That's not a coincidence, folks. It's a systematic or a systemic correction. Too many of us were in the workforce in professional positions, and we were steadily rising, and they needed to make a correction, and they're making that correction right now. So the same administration that once spoke the language of inclusion is now quietly dismantling it.
Wow. And look, we know that's not just in the public sector, right? Private corporations are following suits, laying off diversity teams. And we have, when that started to happen, we had good comebacks with places like Target, Home Depot, Sam's, and all of this. And we're like, hey, you want to lay off your diversity team, cutting funds for equity initiatives?
Hello.
And I guess they were rebranding DEI as efficiency. And I can remember when that came out, I was really listening to it on the Lorraine favorite show on Sirius XM. But, she said, hey, look, we just became too visible, too competent, and too confident. The system recalibrated to push us back or either out. So what are we going to do now?
So I don't know. I think that we just have to understand what we're seeing. I think it fits a historical pattern. And we need to know at what point in time we are right now. So every time Black progress rises, if you just look at it historically, the white backlash follows. And if you recall, after Reconstruction, there was 12 years of Reconstruction where we were doing great. This is right after slavery from 1865 to 1877. They didn't like that, and they kicked us. They took all of the, sorry, I'm thinking through it. They removed all of the soldiers from the South in some agreement with the presidency, and they moved them out, and they allowed the South to rise again. And as they rose, they put Jim Crow in place. So that was the backlash for Reconstruction. And then there was the civil rights movement. That came with the war on drugs. And we remember that. And that's where the mass incarceration came in. And that's where you talk all the time about that crime bill.
Because in the 80s is really when I start taking a hold of politics. Under Reagan, war on drugs is really when I started being aware of what was going on. And then maybe probably in the 90s, start looking back and seeing where we are now in the 2000s. And it is why it's imperative that we start teaching our children. You know, we look at the Republicans, we can say what we like and don't like on the young Republicans, but they are educating their children on how that they should move America forward.
They should move. That's true. That is true.
And we should be doing the same thing.
I definitely believe that.
The young urban leagues, or maybe the youth NAACP, or goddamn it, something. I don't see anything. Or young, maybe we should start something. Young Black independent. Because we're going to have to educate our kids how to navigate this new America they can inherit.
I like the sound of that. But, you know, even after Obama came, we got Trump and the rise of, remember the Tea Party?
Yeah, the Tea Party. And when that happened, I don't understand how we didn't do something. We got the Tea Parties, you know, we couldn't have our Black Panthers. Black Panthers did try, the new Black Panther did try to come back. We couldn't get any movement. We were too comfortable.
We were too comfortable, and we were assimilating. We were in corporate America. We had our jobs. We had our cars. We have our houses. Come on.
And I guess we thought that we would never see this day where they're trying to take us back to the 40s, maybe even the 20s and 30s. Maybe they didn't believe this was going to happen. And that got us, in my opinion, that has to say a lot about the politicians we have in Washington right now.
I think it says a lot about the politicians, yes, but it also says a lot about us and who we are. And even the indigenous people way back when, and who they were, and the Africans, and when the slave trade occurred, and who they were. We are not the same. And if I got nothing else out of Queen Mother Brenda Allen, it is that we are not the warmongers. We were the people that were educated. We were building educational institutions. We were inventing things. We were a totally different type of people, and so was China. But in Europe, they were fighting each other, and when they fought each other enough and they were able to sail across the ocean blue, they started fighting everybody else as well. And they're the only thing that they do, and if you think about it today, we just recalibrated a budget that gives the ICE agency the largest share of the budget, right? And the police force, they are and they're all about war, and right now it's internalized onto us, but they're all about war and conquering, and that's not who we were. And that's how I think they infiltrated, came into Africa, to the Americas, to everywhere. They did it because that's their psyche, right? So I think now, as we look at census projections, and it's showing whites are going to fall below 50% of the U.S. population by 2045. It likely will happen sooner than that, but they're trying to stop that. And that's why the immigration thing is such a big deal to them. Stop letting all those brown people over, because it's making it quicker that we are going to be under 50%. um, they have a preemptive, and I don't want to really use that word. They're trying to get ahead of that number to preserve white control by the wealthy. And even if that means as we talked about before, dismantling this democracy itself, they are willing to say, we will not hang on to democracy. Yeah, we talked about it now for what, 250 years almost?
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to get rid of that because we need to maintain control. Now, remember Albert Fields? Albert used to say, we never really had democracy in the first place. Right. I used to want to fight that. I used to want to say, yes, we did. Yes, we did.
And now you see.
But he's absolutely right.
Yes.
He's right. We've never had it. But we had this facade of democracy where even though the white wealthy have been in control the entire time, they stayed in the background and maneuvered us like chess pieces on a board. Now they're right out front with it. Yeah. And they need to be, because they're losing the majority, because white women have not been having babies and the border has been too loosey-goosey as far as they're concerned. So they're doing it by any means necessary. They're planning to make sure that democracy gets destroyed.
But you would think that how they grew the white race anyway was from all of the immigrants coming over here, because when they do, they assimilate into whiteness.
That's
so
true.
That gave them a huge boost. And so I don't understand the logic behind kicking out a lot of these people who do come over. And if not the first generation, by the second generation, they're into whiteness.
Right. But today, before, white people wanted to come to America. That's true. Today, white people are okay staying in Canada. They're okay staying in Europe and those various European countries. The people who are migrating, the fastest growing population right now is Chinese or Asians. They are the ones that are coming at the fastest rate. The majority, the ones that let's see, it's the Hispanic. The Hispanic are growing in numbers significantly as well, but the fastest rate are the Chinese people, or the Asians. Excuse me, I keep saying Chinese, but I mean Asians. But and they see that immigration is not white people. That's why they were glad to bring over the Ukrainians, and they were happy to extend to those South Africans and what have you, because that's the clear message, you guys. No brown people. There used to be a time where there was no brown people that were allowed to come.
Right. That's crazy.
And then there was the Immigration Act of 1965. And around 2000, actually, you started 1999, 2000, you saw this influx of Black and brown people coming in very large numbers.
So what president did open that up? Was it Bush? So I was listening to something and I cannot remember. I don't know if they were saying Bush or Obama, but I don't think it was Obama, because they said Obama sent more people home than
yeah, they love to say that.
But he did it quietly and apparently respectfully, not out here in the streets beating up women, dragging them to the ground. It is just sad to see, and I don't see how these people can sit back and look at this stuff and think it's okay.
Did you see that video? I think I sent it to you guys.
The black woman.
Of the black woman being dragged.
And what was sad about it?
Wow.
Not so much what he was doing. Is a black man came out holding his umbrella, trying to talk to, like, Negro, I want. How do you let that happen? I would have had to stand.
People are scared. People are scared to intervene.
Then you just have to die. Come on. How can you stand up there and let that happen?
People are scared.
It was
That's
his
all I can
wife
say.
or his
That's right.
mother that he allowed that to happen like that.
Yeah. So around 1999, 2000, I'm just going to back up a little bit. Bill Clinton was president at that time.
Okay.
So again, 1965, that's when that bill opened up that allowed Black and brown people to come into the country. It was kind of slowly happening, but then there was this rush around 1999, 2000. So, and he was the president at that time. And after Bill, we got Bush. So it was quite a ways before, after Bill, we got Bush, because before Bill was Reagan, right?
Before Bill, it probably was no, it wasn't Reagan.
Oh,
It was the Bush father.
it was Bush, yeah, and then Reagan before that.
Reagan was first, then
Bush.
Bush number 1, then
Yep.
Bill,
Yep.
and then Bush number 2, and then Obama.
Right. But as I said, the census 2020 census pretty much told them, they already knew it was coming, but it kind of told them, here's the year that you're going to be in the minority, around 57% of the population, which means majority minority. And in that majority minority, you're going to have a whole lot of very, very intelligent Black people, which will be the ones likely to rise. And that's why the education system and student loan is becoming more difficult, because they want to make sure that we don't have as many educated Black people in the future. It all works together. And that Project 2025,
Sure.
it's covering everything to make sure that our children, the ones that you see now, the Shedeurs, the Coco Gauffs, the Jasmine Crockett's, that they are not going to be capable of leading in the way that they're leading today. They are putting a stop to that. That's amazing to me, just listening to us talk about it.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to find other creative ways, because we just see this same pattern in everything: entertainment, politics. When Black actors or musicians refuse to play the game, as they say, they're labeled difficult, or they're blackballed, as Shedeur Sanders. It is if he's getting, or they could say blackball, or what they call when you're in a fraternity, initiated. Maybe he might just be on probation for a year. Yeah. But you could even do this. Malcolm Jamal Warner, you know who that was, the guy who just died.
I remember him. Yep.
And it has been said that it's been rumored that his career was, stiff, because he wouldn't conform to the roles or images of Hollywood, what they expect him to do. As you know, they all have to go through this initiation. When you think about it, now when we was young and we used to see on Martin when they would dress up as women, put on wigs, and we just thought it was comedy, right? And we just thought it. But as I sit here now, I wouldn't want any of my nephews.
Heard about that? Yeah,
I wouldn't want any of my nephews to do that. That is belittling, and that is what they try to do. But our Black men. Now they also have done it to white men, but they can afford to do it. We simply cannot play those games with them. And
you've seen. Let me say, you're right, but you've seen that picture that Epstein had hanging in his house of Bill Clinton in a dress, a blue dress.
Who had it?
Epstein.
Of Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
And look, this is why these files ain't going to come up, be open, because all these people had him in a dress.
Absolutely. So this thing that you just talked about relative to some of our Black men refusing to portray women or do what have you, that's a very real initiation thing that was going on in Hollywood. And we're just talking about wearing a dress or portraying women, but there's a whole lot of other dark things that happen. Cat Williams, tune into Cat Williams.
Yeah.
And I just believe that some of us who had the principles definitely said no. And while we say rip to Malcolm Jamal Warner, they're claiming suicide, maybe? No, I don't know what they're called. He drowned, right?
He drowned. He was
excuse me, I say foul play, whatever.
Foul play. Okay. Yeah.
I think it's foul play. And in fact, I think I read somewhere that somebody actually thought that. So if we look at Congressman Jasmine Crockett, she's a strong, educated Black woman, unafraid of challenge, hypocrisy head on. She's called aggressive, unprofessional, or out of line, while her white counterparts are praised for being bold or passionate. Now, even as I say that, I'm thinking that Jasmine really, she's out there, and she's pretty much, where are all the other Black politicians, the older ones?
Right.
Where they at for real?
They need to go because they make it.
I know, but they're not speaking up. They're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Why is it that we see Jasmine representing the Black perspective? Only her. Who else is doing it?
Or not only the Black perspective, the immigration, and sometimes I'm thinking.
But who else is doing it?
Other than AOC, nobody.
Right. And even as we look at that, AOC is being considered for a possible presidential run, but nobody's saying that about Jasmine Crockett. But Jasmine Crockett right now is fighting for her seat because they've gerrymandered her area so that she finds it impossible to run. But even as they do that, Jasmine has she's shifting her style a little bit to appeal to that group of white people that is now going to be in her district. And you just have to watch how she is shifting. She's not abandoning, but I'm noticing some shift with her in terms of how she is addressing the issues. But it's I just think it's crazy how they manipulate us. They manipulate us, to use your phrase, to break us. And once they have broken us, they think they have us.
So for the love of money, to follow. And I don't even
the love of money and power.
I don't even want to say for the love of money for us. I was saying that, but these people who do fall in line, because I'm sure these brothers isn't what they were thinking, but they want to do what they were born to do, create.
Yeah, and then they get caught up.
And they have to be broken to do what it is. It is unfortunate. And at some point, we're going to have to be able to move to where we're the owners of these football teams.
Okay,
we're producing movies, and I see someone in the chat said, why do we support Tyler Perry? And I can tell you, when I first was coming up,
why do we or don't we?
Do we?
Yeah.
Support, because I guess his movies. I actually didn't like his plays. It was forever before I even went to a Tyler Perry, because I didn't like that foolishness. I was never that type of person.
That's funny. I went to one and I fell asleep in it.
Yeah, I went to one at the Performing Arts Center,
and that was in the early years, right?
Early 80s, and it was so stupid. And I was like, yeah, I don't know anybody like that. My grandmother, none of my grandmothers ever behaved in those manners. So I was not a fan of his, and I've seen some of his movies on TV. And then sometimes they go too far to the right, because I don't know. I've never been around women who we just going to break out and start fighting, or you throwing a barrel in my face. I don't
know. You got to go into some of these schools. They break out and fight.
Yeah, I don't think I ever seen a fight. I've never had a fight. I don't
I've
think
seen them. I've never had one, but I've seen them.
I don't know if I'm trying to think. I don't know if I ever really seen a brawl or something. For one thing, my mother used to always say, "Hey, walk away. Do not stand around because she put so much fear. You'll get hurt. You'll get shot, or you'll do this. Walk away." But I was never really even put in situations like that because by the time I got to high school, I was driving. I didn't really go to.
You didn't have to ride the bus?
No. No, I never rode the bus. My daughter never rode the bus either. I drove her to school. Well, she drove the bus in the third grade, and she kept saying she wanted to drive it. And then I said, you know what? I'm kind of tired. Let me make this work. And she rode it for about a week. Okay, I don't want to ride it. I said, yeah, you're gonna have to finish to the end of the year because I went through a lot. These people, and if you're not on this bus, they're gonna be upset because I went through a lot to get her on that bus, and they dropped her right off at my job.
Yeah.
And she's like, but it takes me 2 hours to get here. I said, yeah, you don't have anything to do.
That's called riding the bus.
Read a book.
Yeah.
And she says, but I'm hearing things I shouldn't be hearing. I said, well, sit behind the bus driver.
Yeah. But you know what? Again, I think that across the board, young Black leaders, but Black leaders in general who speak truth to power, they face being censored. And we know that's true, and we can see that in Congress as well. They get their characters get assassinated, or they get, as I mentioned about Jasmine Crockett, they get gerrymandered, and it's all to weaken Black influence. So I think even locally, there is a reason there is only one Black representative on the various commissions and boards. Just one.
So let me ask you, how someone like Maxine Waters to stay in office for as long as she has?
It's her constituency. If she has a large Black constituency, they usually can stay in. Large white constituencies like Mitch McConnell's, they can usually stay in. And that's why they're going after Jasmine Crockett, because she has a very large Black constituency. So they figured the way that we get her, because she's so young, we're not going to leave that. We're going to redraw the lines and include another 200,000 or so white people.
Wow,
and
200,000?
And dwarf the number of Black people. So the white people then will vote her out, and she's gone. So that's it. So if you're in, and they call those safe districts, when you represent, from a ethnic standpoint or a race standpoint, the people that you look like the people that you're representing.
So would it be something like, what are you saying? When you say safe district, the first thing came to mind for me is Kathy Castor. That seat, I can remember when Jim Davis had that seat, and I don't want to say it was lined out and redistricted for it to be more inclusive for someone Black. But it was. And she got that seat, and she has had that seat forever. Nobody will run against her. Why?
I know, right?
So are they saying they don't want it to be Black, or they don't want it to be Democrat?
I don't really know what the district looks like. I don't know how the lines are drawn that keeps that so safe for her. Yeah.
Because if it turns out white, because that is what happened, because we should have a Black representative in Washington, and this woman comes along and just as always just take the seat. And
well, she got a Black card. She got a Black card.
Yeah, for the life of me, I don't know what she's done, how she has benefited our community.
Specifically. So that question was raised in some posts that I was going back and forth on, in terms of Black people get benefits, but they're not specific to the community. We're rolled in and grouped with everybody else. So things like healthcare and whatever that she votes for, it's really serving us but it's serving everybody else.
Right.
But what I think they don't understand is we're looking for something that's very specific to our needs. We've been perpetually on the bottom of the race hierarchy, and that needs to be addressed. And the only way to address that is
stuff that will benefit and help Progress Village, Separate Springs, East Campus, stuff like that. So I want, moving forward, I would think I was discussing with you something I want to do for a long time, do a scorecard on these politicians.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good idea. But, being that we're limited to one Black representative on the various commissions and boards, that makes it really difficult for us to get things done. And then the temperament of these individuals is often carefully cultivated, not by us, but by others who are interested in us not making any trouble on those various boards.
Right.
Like hamburger.
And that's the problem when we want to be on the board more than we want the outcome.
I know, but did you hear me? I said like Tammy Schamberger. Mm-hmm. She was not carefully cultivated. She got in there, and then they realized that she was a, shit kicker, mm-hmm. and then she was removed.
And then our dumbasses go along with it.
Yeah, we do, because we're not yet strategic. Back to your point of we're not mature voters yet, but we're not yet strategic in how we choose our leadership. And the whole one seat thing per governing body locally makes no sense to me. And how do we make it so that there's 2 or 3 or whatever? And I don't know that we can get 3, but I think we could probably begin focusing beyond just the one seat if the seat isn't gentrified at some point.
Right. And we have to say, if we're helping elect, particularly these at-large candidates, mm-hmm. why can't we have someone that look like us?
Yeah,
I'm tired of voting for Democrats just to put them in office, and they don't return the vote to help us get elected.
Yeah,
what makes you better than somebody else?
I don't know.
Let's go with Robin Lockett. Because I don't know really, and I'm not saying it because I don't really follow it or know. Guido sitting in that seat, and he did anything for all of us versus Robin Lockett.
Yeah, that's very true.
He's really the first person. No, I worked on Thomas Scott when he ran mm-hmm. at large as well. But she is really okay.
Sky White ran at large, huh?
Yes, they did work on Sky. That was another. But okay, so I just say the last one was Robin.
Mm-hmm. And so, she had a pretty good run, but it's the same.
She had great ideas. I mean, what ideas do he have?
But people are uncomfortable with Robin or Sky or anybody else. They're uncomfortable with their authenticity.
You're uncomfortable with Guido? Because I'm uncomfortable with him.
Okay, but you're Black. Nobody cares about your discomfort. The discomfort has to be with white people are uncomfortable with Black authenticity. They don't really care about white authenticity. And they somehow have a code of, we're going to make this happen because we're all in it together. Let's just make sure these Black people don't come together. So it's the same discomfort with the authenticity. And when I see the people who did run for the seat, and I know who they are, those are some pretty authentic people. They don't go along or play along to get along.
Sure.
They fight for the issues. And that's what we have to embrace, because somehow we're also uncomfortable with their authenticity.
Yes.
Tell me I'm right. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me something.
No, you're right. Unfortunately, because they'll say stuff like this. Black people. Can she do her hair? What? Because they're coming to me. What's wrong with her hair? I said, what's wrong with her hair? I love her hair. What are you talking about? It's a problem with her hair? Are you?
Well, maybe
And
they
I
come to you because
and
you
I
have
gotta be, and these are
maybe that's
things,
your profession, so they come to you and ask about their hair.
yeah. And I have to say, are you effing kidding me? What is wrong with her?
I
She's
know.
wearing her hair natural.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what you're worrying about, and
Yeah.
that's what they be worrying about. They want you to dress nice. They want your hair to be, and then they just want you to sit up there and say, "Uh-huh, yes, sir, master. Mm-hmm. Nope, I agree with everything you say. Nope,
Yeah.
I'm not going to push
Yeah.
back. Nope, I'm not going to bring any attention here." And this is why we will be at. This is why we will be at. This is crazy. Even when you looked at that school board meeting yesterday, I just wish the person that's representing us would have pushed back a little and fought for the school. I mean, I just thought that was the craziest thing. I couldn't make it to the school board. Usually I work late on Tuesdays.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Oh, wait. I had to keep rewinding it because they're getting close. Because, and the four things, I got to really call somebody to see what's really going on there. This is unbelievable. It just can't be. And all of these kids had to go somewhere else different today. And I suppose the whole staff isn't working.
Mm-hmm.
And the safety reasons, and you got all kind of safety reasons on Hillsborough County school system, school property.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, but Mona, here's the thing. Being authentic is resistance.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Remember when we started, I said you're probably one of the more authentic people that I know.
Mm-hmm.
But being authentic is resistance. So when we choose not to dilute ourselves, we disrupt centuries of control. So when Coco prays on court, or when Shedeur flashes his watch, when Jasmine Crockett calls out the hypocrisy using Black slang, or when a Black actor refuses a degrading role, those are revolutionary acts.
Yes. And look, that's why these stories matter. That is who we are. They remind us that visibility isn't always safety, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes it's a risk, but the alternative, when we disappear, when we down ourselves, when we holding our head down, when we disappear.
Yeah.
When we disappear.
Yep.
Ourselves to fit in. I believe that's worse.
I think so too. I agree with you.
Yeah, I would say that is worse.
Mm-hmm. I think it is worse. So as our confidence rise, the backlash has been growing because authenticity strips away the myths that hold white supremacy together. It's why MAGA got so excited when boastful when WNBA basketball, Caitlin Clark, you remember her?
Mm-hmm.
Burst on the scenes. They felt the need to beat us because they see that we excel in just about everything else. When we overcome the obstacles they put in our way. So our calm confidence unsettles them.
She reminded me of Larry Bird, the next great white hope.
Yeah, that's exactly it. For them, that's what it was. So when we are calm, when we show calm confidence, that unsettles them because they built their sense of superiority on our subservience.
Yeah.
They hate it when we are walking around thinking that we've won. So that's what makes this moment both dangerous and sacred. I think we're finally standing in our own narrative, but that means confronting their fear head on. So what do we do with all of this? We keep showing up like Shedeur. Even though whatever they're doing to him, he keeps showing up saying, I'm ready to play. I'm ready to play. Even when they say that he's not ready to play, he says, no, I'm ready to play.
Mhm.
So we document the disparities, but you document, and you can bet they're documenting any and everything that goes along. And now with social media, you can document everything.
Yes.
So we support each other's businesses, and we build independent institutions such as schools. We build our own schools, we build our own banks, and we build our own business districts, like we used to. Central Avenue, Black Wall Street, all of that. We remind the next generation that assimilation isn't safety.
Nah,
It's erasure.
it is. Wow. And we tell our stories our way. On our platform with our voices, we tell our history that stretches before. That is what we got to start doing. Telling our history that stretches before we ever set foot on these shores. Because authenticity isn't just about being real, it's about being free.
Whew, so free.
You got to be free.
You really do. And I don't know, but if you think about Coco and you think about Shedeur, Serena, Dion, Jasmine Crockett, Malcolm Jamal Warner, they're not just individuals. And I really need you guys to realize that the universe is giving us, or God, however you see it, is giving us the archetypes or the role models of what's possible when we all stop apologizing for our greatness.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we do. That's what we've been doing, apologizing.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since that guy was in the, I don't know what they call it when they get the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear the black commentators. He's too cocky. He's too this.
Yes.
Oh God, it was just. But look, and that's exactly what this generation is doing. Hey, we're marching by our own rhythm, within the rules, of course. Just stay inside the rules, but on our own terms. It's not going to be easy. It never has been, but it's definitely necessary for our survival.
Yeah, it's very necessary. So guys, we're going to close out, and I just want to remind you that this has been the Black Independent, and we want to make sure that you are aware of it. You are repeating it. You are talking about it. We want you to follow us on Facebook and on YouTube. And remember, Black excellence doesn't need permission. It just needs a collective purpose. That's you. That's me. That is absolutely all of us. So, Mona, if you got anything else, I'm good.
No, just remember, we're doing Christmas this year different. We'll be talking about it again on Sunday. Making Christmas plans, holiday plans. So we're doing it different. We're going to be buying black, shopping black.
Right.
And wrapping it alike.
This is where we start buying the Black infrastructure. We start creating the Black infrastructure, the business infrastructure. Buy from our businesses. There's going to be a lot of us that are unemployed, and we could actually hire each other.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to go back. We can start hiring each other with all the talent and skills that we have. So until Sunday, you guys, be Black independent.
Good night.